Before we begin, the name is placed on the top right side of the screen. A man and a woman stand and look at a place frightenedly. A person has stabbed the other person. The other person who has been stabbed questions, why did he do this after all the trouble to get here, even though they finally reached? It is the demon's castle. She mentions that she is home as it's told that she was an employee for an illegal company. She laid on her bed and mumbled that she is very tired. It's been 4 years since she joined after graduating college. She thinks that she needs to train a replacement for her position. As she pushed through exhaustion after exhaustion, both her body and her mind were in shambles. The only thing that kept her going was the Saintess's promise. One day, the heroine Aurora awakened as the Saintess. It was an tamed game where she traveled with her love interest to defeat the Demon King. She mentions that completed the scenario about 99.99% and just one route is left, and it took 3 weeks to change the last digit to 9. She was very much into it, even playing it every night. She got the final branch, which made her become very excited and thank the developer. It was her vivid connector, as she decided that she would go ahead and collect the last 0.01%. She was thinking about the character, thinking that her life is on easy mode as she is born into a count's family, living without any hardship. A lovable, fluffy, and naive young lady. Ever since she awakened to the power of the Saintess, her abilities have kept growing stronger. She wanted to become a Saintess too. She wanted to live a life loved by Hero Atlas, it said then come, which left her a bit confused. She wondered if she touched something. She could not understand what was written on the screen. As she clicked on something, the next moment she was somewhere else. She wondered if she's in the world of the Saintess's promise. She was reborn as the heroine, Saintess Aurora Rizal. And this was her new life, as Saintess Aurora. This was her 4095th death, just like in the story of the Otome game. She defeated the Demon King and ended up with Hero Atlas to reach the ending. But with her consciousness inside Aurora, her holy power is too weak, to the point that people started to question if she was really a Saintess. They stated that the rain is not falling. She cannot even fully heal wounds. Originally, the hero's party should have received the abundant blessings from Saintess Aurora's holy power. But because of her, they were dragged down. It was hard to even reach the Demon King's castle. The people were so done with her as they knew that she could not heal them anymore. Questioning who needs such a burden, they would decide that they should just leave her behind as they will manage without the holy power. But someone questioned that it is impossible how well they break the seal. This is the world inside the game to the developer. She has no parts other than the one the creator intended. She was not prepared. This is the only path she can walk without being able to wield power like the original Saintess. The world that was supposed to be saved by her, she could not save it. This wronged Aurelia's story. The people said that she is more useless than the average nun. Questioning if she is even a real Saintess, the Saintess of this story will definitely die. They called her a witch and decided to burn her. There are no exceptions. Up until now, she has been killed by every possible person, in every possible way. Monsters, bandits, the Emperor, people from villages she passed through, her companions, even her own parents. It happened again and again. She got so frustrated because of it. Even if she tried her best, even after working without rest, the world of the Saintess's promise was what healed her. She wanted to save it. Most importantly, she had deep feelings for the hero Atlas. She thought that Atlas was different. But he also ended up to be the one to kill her. She had trust in him, but she was despite and betrayed and killed while in despair over her own powerlessness. The moon's light is calling me. When Aurora murmured that, she was drawn to the faintly glowing pale moonlight. She gently opened the window as if guided. As she murmurs dark, she wonders if she is going to become the Saintess just to be killed again. She loses her mind as she is aware she does not want that. Things starts to happen as she realizes that usually this happens around the time of awakening. And then she wonders, why can she speak normally now, even though there should not be any options? There's no text box either. A screen had appeared earlier that questioned if she wanted to return to darkness. She wonders if it is because of that. She looks at her hand and realizes that this is the holy power. She is overflowing with it. As she starts to use it, she finds it amazing, and she thinks if she has this kind of power in this world, then she will be the one to destroy everything. She says that with a smirk on her face. After gaining this overwhelming power, she decided to become the final boss to take revenge on the world. It is the night time as she's looking at the moon. She wonders if the moon was always this beautiful. She extends her hand towards it. She ponders that in this world there is a legend that whenever the demon king sealed away by the hero party is revived, awakened ones with special powers will be born in each country. The saintess and the hero are both awakened ones. Due to a game bug, she now possesses a power that even surpasses theirs. She thinks if she uses this, she could single-handedly step into the demon king's castle and defeat him. Or right now, she could produce the world to ashes. The power of creation and destruction. She now wields the power of a different dimension. She looks at her hand and says that she's done being the saintess. The people, her family, her companions, humans, she will make them experience despair just like she did, and kill them. She is aware that she must first eliminate the outer defenses to the people who killed her. She will ensure they meet a slow and cruel end, and she will strip this country of strength. That poison will eventually reach the heroes of Taurus. She will make them regret and feel despair, and she will decapitate them in the midst of their suffering. When the people see the bodies of the awakened ones, and when they fall into the depths of chaos and fear, she will end this world then. She seems very excited about it as she ponders. She thinks she will be able to sleep well tonight, with a goal that she can reach if she tries hard. She never knew it would make her this happy. She has decided the first person that she should kill. The morning begins as she wishes good morning to her father and stepmother. Her stepmother tells her that she woke up awfully late today, telling her to sit down. She then asks her father that he has been quite busy since this morning, questioning if there was any trouble. He stated it is not exactly a trouble, but apparently the awakened ones appeared in various countries last night. From what he has heard, the awakened showed up at nearly the same time last night. Their bodies had holy marks that appeared on each part. They said, "We are those foreseen by prophecy, and we are certain that we are among the awakened ones." She questions. So just like the legend said, who is the awakened ones of their country, the saint? He mentions that no one has come forward yet. She tells him that the manifestation of the awakened one is an honor to the family. No noble family would try to hide it. That means that the saint must be from a lower-ranking noble or commoner. Stating that, as expected, Aurelia being the servant's child was not chosen. She mentions if she had been chosen as the saintess, it would not have been a disgrace for the Rizal family. Her stepmother calls her poor, and that even the slightest hope of becoming the saintess has disappeared. Even if she went to social events, they would say she is a servant's child or a cursed child who killed her mother. She would feel uncomfortable with such rumors being spread about her. If this goes on, what will happen to her marriage prospects? Her father stated that is true, and they just mentioned this the other day. Taking this opportunity, he will proceed with her marriage proposal that had been postponed. He tells her that she is still young and beautiful. Although there's a scandal, there will be some families who would not care as long as they can make connections to the Rizal family. Plus, they need to settle this matter before his brother comes back. If not, she will be the one who gets embarrassed. She remains quiet as he tells her to listen to him, but then she raises her hand. She tells the maid to please slice 3 more thick pieces and add more beans too, stating that her father and stepmother seem busy chatting, so she will eat all the remaining bread. This causes her father to be angry as he shouts her name. He says that he's talking to her and she's showing attitude. The atmosphere becomes very cold as she apologizes to her father and states she was just surprised the awakened ones have appeared and a war might break out, yet all he cares about is her marriage. She smiles and says, as expected of the Rizal family, how generous he is. She says that also for some reason she is really hungry this morning. Her stepmother asks her what happened to her. She has raised her to be a proper lady, but now she looks like a pig in a pigsty. Aurelia responds that is right, she must look very shameless. Her holy power is very visible, which shocks them, when the darkness from the realm of nothingness casts its shadow upon the earth. The ones who will cleanse it will appear bearing the holy marks. She says it seems as the awakened one of Interati. Her father stands up as he says, "This is such an incredible thing." Meanwhile, her stepmother becomes very frustrated. He tells Aurelia that she has done well to be the awakened one of Rizal family. Her stepmother starts to cry and make a scene, stating that a filthy cursed child who killed their own mother and has no merit, to think she is a saintess. Her father tells her stepmother to know her place, as how dare she speak to a saintess like that. She asks him, just because Aurelia has awakened as the saintess, he does not plan to treat her son and her light burdens, does he? He responds that he never said that and states he told her he would pass on the family inheritance to his son. Did not he? Aurelia tells the maid everything is fine now so she can step back. She says that she never thought the prophetic saint would appear even in the slightest possibility. Aurelia ponders, even though she is a stepmother, would she really say that in front of the actual daughter? He says just a little while ago she said it was an honor, didn't she? and then he tells Aurelia to join him in his study. He will report the awakening to the Emperor through magical communication. The stepmother starts thinking that how can she be the saint, the girl that is born from a servant, instead of her sweet eldest son. She thinks of Aurelia as the cursed child with no talent or ability. She grabs a knife, stating that she won't accept it. She points the knife towards Aurelia's neck, stating that she should choose, and calls her a demon's cursed child. If she should be locked in the attic room until she dies, or here, right now, die. Right then, the stepmother coughs up blood and falls to the ground. Aurelia states that, as expected, poison takes time to work. That is the poison route she tried to mix in her drink before. Aurelia asks her, "It must hurt, right?" She felt so much pain at that time too. While struggling, the stepmother asks her when did she poison her. She responds she does not know about poison. Then she says it is the poison that she gave to her mother, questioning if it would be easier to understand if she said that it was the poison she gave to her mother. Her father tells her to calm down and asks this poison is just a joke, right? He coughs up blood too as he says she is his pride, beloved daughter. He falls down to the ground as he realizes he has been poisoned as well. She asks him, "You must be thinking why." She says she thought it was possible that even a scum of her husband could be a scumbag, but asks him if he is hiding something from her. Long ago, there was a girl serving a noble family in the Interati Empire. She was from the Rican family. Although she was only a maid, she was very beautiful. One day she got summoned by the lord of the estate, the count, and was forcibly made to spend the night with him. As a result, she became pregnant. When the countess learned of this, she became enraged. She mercilessly harassed the pregnant girl. The girl grew weaker by day, and finally, on the day of her childbirth, the girl lost even the strength to bear her child and no longer had the strength to push. The desperate count cut open the girl's belly with silver scissors. The poor girl died. She does the same to her father and tells him there is no need to hide anymore. She asks him, "He was the one who killed her mother, right?" He calls out to her again and asks him since when did she know this. She mentions a stepmother mercilessly trying to assassinate the illegitimate daughter and a father who sees his own daughter only as a pawn for the family. She says that the awakened ones from Iterati knows everything. He grabs onto her and tells her that he raised her without any hardship. He gave her beautiful dresses and a high-quality education. He heard it was good for emotional development, so he even had the best gardener to create a beautiful garden for her. So why is she treating him like this? He says that she is an awakened one from Iterati. If she has the mercy of a saint, then she should please heal this wound of his. Using her magic, she pushes him in the air, telling him to not touch her with his filthy hands. He tells her that he was wrong, but she tortures him, which makes the stepmother shiver with fear. He keeps on asking for forgiveness, but she does not let him off. She wonders, what is he asking forgiveness for? For raising her as a tool without love? Or for killing her mother? As she then looks at the stepmother, she asks her which one does she think it was. Her stepmother says that she does not know anything about that, and all she heard was that she weakened because of the poison she gave her and died at childbirth. Valeria asks if her father heard that, saying that not that it matters right now. She wishes goodbye to her father, telling him to feel the same pain and suffering as her mother did until he dies. She finishes him off as his blood got on her clothes. She realizes her clothes got stained. Her stepmother, filled with fear, is crying as she smiles and tells her she does not need to be so afraid of her. She wants to have a deeper conversation about the fable with her. As she steps towards the stepmother, she says she heard that every fable carries a moral. Her stepmother begs her to not come near. She continues that they say a story with moral lessons can be understood even by young children. She questions, if so, what is the moral of this story? Her stepmother thinks about it as she's shivering. She does not know what to say. She wonders what could it be. She says it is that they must not do things that others dislike. Aurelia asks her like what. She mentions they must not poison other people. The stepmother is aware that she made a mistake, and she made a mistake again, as they must not tell lies, and they must not be arrogant. They must not bully their stepdaughter. They must not turn a blind eye to her husband's atrocities. The stepmother ponders that she does not wish to die. She knows that. They must not hide rusty scissors, and they must not kill servants when they become inconvenient. She is aware that she is going to get killed. Even after all this, does she still not understand anything? Asking why teach a lesson to those who commit crimes? Sinners will commit their crimes sooner or later, so no matter how many times the moment repeats, no matter how many opportunities to make up for failure are given, father will always kill her mother and her stepmother will always try to kill her by any means. So the moral of this fable is that the oppressed must stand up, as she points towards the stepmother. The stepmother begins to struggle, as Aurelia tells her to step up and take her revenge by any means necessary to survive, kill her enemy, and then prove that she was right. Her father is not dead yet as he tells her to kill him already. She smiles and asks her father did she not tell him that he should feel the same pain and suffering as her mother did until he dies. As long as he remains in this space, no matter how much he suffers, he won't die. The stepmother is struggling as she's been choked by her divine powers. She calls out to her stepmother and tells her she will soon understand this. She will experience how father felt when he was begging to be killed. By using her magic, she lives wild beasts after her stepmother, causing her to be totally frightened. She tells her stepmother that after being devoured, her body will regenerate, but by then the bandits will probably arrive. The very bandits she hired to embrace the borderlands, even if they cut off her head or burn her alive or use her for target practice. She should forgive her as she ordered them to do it. Her stepmother tries to say that she's sorry. She tells her stepmother to not be angry as she will face the same prominence she inflicted on her. She leaves the hall as a fire breaks out. The attendant starts to work on stopping the fire from increasing. They realize that it is no good as the flames are too strong, so they should just get out of here quickly. The whole villa is on fire. As she steps outside, she says how anticlimactic. She bows and wishes farewell to her stepmother and father. After a few days, she stands outside a place. She thinks that she's sorry for the sudden intrusion and questions if she should go ahead and pay her respects to the Demon King. She uses her holy power against her dragon. The dragon fights her back. However, after a while, the dragon gets defeated. She thinks that after looping through this so many times, to think that she actually never met the Demon King before, she finds it really underwhelming. The dragon asks her who is she. She then tells the dragon that come to think of it, they have never actually formally met, have they? She tells him that here's a riddle for him, and it is to guess who she is. She gets near to the dragon so he can see her perfectly. He asks her if she dared to pose such an unknowable question. He tells her to not be coy, and just say it. He mentions that she is unwanted. Her existence is insignificant. She has no purpose in this world, and she is incapable of affecting this world in any meaningful way. He questions who is she and then responds. He does not need to say he does not know because she has no meaning. She tells him that to her, it is this world that has no meaning. The Demon King cannot be truly vanquished unless all the awakened ones are present, and for now she can only seal him away again. She wishes him sweet dreams, His Majesty. Now she will be taking over as the final boss. She questions if there are any objections to the rise of the new Demon King. Everyone is defeated, and she says she does not think so. She wonders that perhaps she should have left one or two alive. She knows she can always deal with that later. She has more pressing matters to attend to. As she checks around the cameras, she thinks about the namely revenge Duke Chariot, awakened one, a mana wielder of the power of strength and loyalty. It is said that his mighty war axe cleaved through countless demons, and that he was Hero Atlas' most trusted companion. At least that was the sanitized version. Presented in the original story, the truth is he's a violent brute and a coward at heart, willing to sacrifice anyone and everyone to save his own skin. She thinks that she will personally ensure the Demon King draws his last breath. He certainly took pleasure in killing her countless times, and perhaps he should be her next target. The Duco calls out to his friends and thanks them for escorting him this far. He says that tomorrow he will cross the border into Aprino, as a proud warrior, a prince of the realm, and an awakened one. He swears to all of them that he will fight with honor and return victorious. He will personally ensure the Demon King's demise, or something like that. Everyone finds it a magnificent speech. They tell him to please return to them safely. He says that he never go against his word, and he will certainly do that. He then orders for some beer and asks for the strongest one and the finest meal. He also questions if they have any nuts or dried foods. He's told that he's bringing them. He tells everyone to eat, drink, and be merry, that they should celebrate. Everyone is full of themselves as they tell each other do not throw up in front of the Duke. The Duke calls out to one of the women and asks her if she has something he can use to clean this up. She tells him these rags should do as he says. It's perfect. His attendant tells him he will take care of it, but he says it is fine and he should not worry about it. After all, he was the one who told them to eat and drink to their heart's content. So cleaning of the mess is also his responsibility. He tells the woman of the restaurant that he's sorry about the mess, and he thinks he overdid it, so she should make sure that she adds a cleaning fee to the bill. Surprised as she asks the other person if he heard that, she finds the Duke a very noble gentleman, a true royal. The person tells her there are still good people in this world, men of honor and integrity. Once generous to their men and spend so much coin in such humble taverns. The men almost started believing in those rumors. He apologized for interrupting, but said he ordered some nuts and dried fruits a while ago. So what is the hold-up? He apologized, stating that he completely forgot. But he questioned what did he mean that he forgot and told him to get on it. But he realized that he used them all yesterday and they're out of stock. This made the Duke frustrated as man mentioned he can just go to the tavern nearby and get some more. The Duke was filled with anger, asking what does he mean out of stock, and he can just go and get some more. He grabbed the person by the collar and questioned if what he's saying is that he is the one who lied about having any nuts or dried fruit in the first place. He questioned if that was right. The person was very scared as he said no, of course not, he simply misplaced them. The Duke hit the wall and questioned what does he mean by misplaced. He said that the person lied and he is just standing there like the piece of trash he is in front of him. He hit the person. As the person fell on the floor, he picked him up. And stated that strength demands loyalty. Loyalty through strength and truth is paramount. There's no room for lies. Not a single life shall pass by him. Lies will be punished. He beat the person so much and ended up killing him. He said that scumbag made him lose his temper again. He called out to the woman that was crying on the corner and asks her if she minds calling someone to clean this up. Stated that even the vilest of villains deserves a proper burial right. She left crying, telling him she'll go. He said honestly, this is what he gets for trusting a liar. He told his people that he is sorry, but they will have to do without their nuts and dried food. He noticed something. It was the person's deed as he said fruit is splattered all over the floor, and it started to laugh. Right then someone appeared and said what a mess he has made of himself. Wonders that he always had such a weakness for this type of woman. She greets everyone and says she is Lena from the house next door, and she has come to collect her uncle's remains. As the person is getting buried, she prayed for him. The Duke has his eyes on her. The Duke went to wash his face as he smirked. She went to him and gave her a piece of cloth and told him to use this to wipe his face. She thanked him for attending the funeral and for helping with carrying the person. The Duke responds that he was a cherished member of their community and it was the least that he could do. She tells him it means so much to her that the fifth prince himself attended her uncle's funeral. She is sure he is rejoicing in the afterlife. He tells her that she put a great deal of effort into the funeral arrangements and questions if both of them were close. She responds yes, he was always very kind to her. He says that working diligently to earn a living, being kind to his neighbors, he truly was a fine citizen of Manhwa. He then questions, so how exactly did he die? She asks him if he can recall, to which he questions what does she mean. She glares at him before she says she does not know the details or the reason she just heard he suddenly collapsed at work. The Duke responds if that is the case and says he was a good man. He says that the good ones always die young, and that is just how it is. She then said that speaking of which, she heard that he, the fifth Prince Duke, have a strong aversion to dishonesty. She tells Sam she feels the same way. Lies, flimsy excuses, and people that slander others just to make themselves look better. She despises them all. She then says, but he is probably not interested in hearing such things, right? She tells him it does not feel like they have just met. She wonders why, stating perhaps they are kindred spirits, perhaps it is faith. She questions if that is the case. He said yes and smiled. He understands that feeling. Another day begins as he tells about his encounter with her and says that happened yesterday and they parted after that. But he has decided when he returns from slaying the Demon King he's going to marry her. He tells the person to start the preparations. His companion says as he wishes and congratulates him on his upcoming wedding. He blushes and says that they're not even officially engaged yet. He tells himself that this time he will make sure she is happy. He has lost far too many royal consorts because of his own mistakes. He will never forget any of them. He then starts thinking about something. His companion calls out to him as he questions how did his previous consorts die. As he walks outside, he thinks about all of his previous consorts. They would call him their beloved, their everything, and would offer their body and soul to him. He keeps on thinking about Aurelia. She was standing in front of him as she called out to him. He pushed her towards the tree and told her to trust him and wait for him. She questions what does this mean. He told her he will make her his queen. She blushes and asks him if he's serious as he said yes. He never goes against his word. Right then, he blushes and calls himself a fool. She tells him this is embarrassing, but she is so happy. He tells her she can just call him Duke. After all, she is his woman now. She then says yes, she is Duke's woman. She then calls out to him as he asks her what is it. She calls his name again as he questions if she is that happy to call him by his name. She tells him as a man's awakened one, is he going to a Uperno to meet their awakened one as well? He says right. She then questions, when he returns victorious over the Demon King, will he make her his queen? He asks that if she's worried about his lineage or is it his family name? She tells him that is not the case. He becomes aware of her identity as becomes frightened. She tells him he is so dense, a muscle-brained oaf, so quick to jump to conclusions and so easily swayed. He's the least worthy of the stigma. She calls him by his name. She questions that he has not realized it yet. He shouts at her and asks her what is she talking about, that he really are very dense as the Demon King he's so eager to slay is her. He tries to grab onto her. He pulls her by her hair. He says that she's the liar. He throws her and tells her that she is spinning lies. He says that she just lied just because she wanted to get close to him. He goes to punch her when she's aware of his move, which makes her smirk. Right then he realizes that he's tired and he's unable to move his arm. This leaves him speechless. She tells him such predictable, pathetic behavior. It was almost refreshing. She attacks him and falls out his name. She tells him that wearing casual clothes again was a nice change of pace, but she thinks she prefers this look better. He notices the mark on her hand. He asks that if she is an awakened one. She responds that she supposed she was awakened once, but now she's the Demon King. He finds that absurd, as he says he has never heard of such a thing before. He stands up and states that he does not believe it, said that the stigma is a mark bestowed upon the chosen ones from the 4 noble nations. He tells Sir that is our true awakened one. They are the ones who purge the Demon King. So why does the Demon King bear the stigma? She asks him what does it matter to him. It is meaningless either way. He is already doomed. Questions. Why would he be doomed? She says because he lied and did not he say to his soldiers that he will marry her when he returns for slaying the Demon King. He even told them to start the preparations. But if she is slain, then he won't be marrying anyone. He does not know what to respond. She also tells him that he cannot abandon his quest now, as does he not remember the crowds, all those cheering citizens when he left the capital. She tells him to think carefully. He asks her to stop at dot. She tells him to remember that he was the one who ordered wedding preparations for a woman he cannot marry, unable to slay the Demon King despite being an awakened one. She calls out to him as he then becomes really frustrated. He says that he did not lie. He cannot believe it. She then tells him why does not he just admit him, to which he becomes angry and asks her to shut up. She says that he is just a liar. He is going crazy, but he tells himself that it is fine. He did not mention her name when he returned from slaying the Demon King. She was dead. She then asked him how does he intend to then slay the Demon King. He then says that she was dead so he could not marry her, and they were so in love to think that she has died while he was away. But she tells him she's not done yet. She asks him how does he plan to slay her. She chokes him. He asks her to not touch him. She puts him on fire. He says he is the awakened one of Amana, the land of strength and loyalty. He attacks her as she creates a barrier. She tells him when facing an inconvenient truth, this is what he always do when the innkeeper did not bring his dried fruit, when his consorts were unfaithful, when his knights failed to meet his expectations. When he discovered that the child from the poor village was a thief, even when the woman he loved rejected him, anything he cannot have, he simply decided he never wanted it, and he rewrite history. He erased the very fact that he desired it and eliminate anyone who knows the truth. He claimed liars don't exist in Amana, but they cannot exist. Can they? He has killed them all every time he confessed his love. He knew it was someone's death sentence. She finds it very disappointing. He asks her what. As he trembles, he tells her to wait a minute. Why would she care how many times he confessed to her? She would always reject him, and every rejection would be a death sentence. He tells her that something about what she is saying does not add up. He tells her to forget about it, as even a cretin like him should understand this. He's going to die because of his lies, and he's a liar. He's a sinner and a murderer, and she intends to repay him in ways far more brutal than anything he inflicted upon her hundreds of times over and over. Under everything he did to her ceases to exist. He thinks there are not that many ways to kill someone, does not he? But she smiles and tells him there are. After all, he's the one who killed her countless times. So here's a question for her grand debut. She questions how does he think she's going to kill him. She starts torturing him as she asks him if it is painful. She knows it is. He is struggling as she tells him it really makes him appreciate how precious year it does not eat, but she says she should not give up now. This is only the 3rd time, or maybe the 4th. She mentions either way, they have a long way to go. She cannot have him giving up so easily. He tells her that he cannot breathe, but she tortures him more and asks him if he remembers she said the same thing, that it hurts and that please let her breathe and she will not tell anyone. She says that his goal was to kill her, to erase her existence, so why prolong her suffering / no matter how much she begged, he never stopped. She wonders why he is the type who torments those he loves. She questions, was he so enraged that he could not even hear her pleas? She tells him that is not it. The reason is because he is a sadistic, rotten, spineless worm. When he knows he has absolute power, he becomes obsessed with proving it. He has the means to achieve his goal, and somewhere along that way, before he knows his goal changes and his methods change with it. He started by wanting to silence her, to erase the throat of her words, and soon after he just wanted to showcase his power. He wanted to dot her suffer. He is a pathetic vegetation-seeking monster, and he is unable to form healthy relationships tart for recognition, and the only way he could find that recognition is by slowly crushing those weaker than him. She questions if he is even listening to her dot as she says all that training and power as an awakened one, and yet he drowns so easily. But he should not worry as her list of revenge is quite long. She tortures him in every way possible. She takes him somewhere. As he realizes where is it, he starts to ask for help. She questions if he knows what this is. It is called a guillotine. He tells her that she's going to start with her fingers. Is not she? He knows that she will do this slowly, one by one. He starts to cry and tells her to not do this anymore. She questions if that frightens him, but he says no. He does not want any more pain. She questions if that is the case, then she will give him a choice. And it is to die by the guillotine, slowly dismembered, finger by finger, or forsake everything and become her servant.